What's going on, guys? So right now we're preparing this motor to go into the Celine. Now a lot of people and a lot of cars out there have actually had their original motor take a dump. That's exactly what happened here with the Celine. This motor was beat. It's had a lot of issues for the last 3 years since I've had it. And you know, it's really common, unfortunately, for a lot of these new edge cars to have their engines just completely take a dump. So an easy solution is picking up a Crown Vic motor just like this one. Now, as you can see, we've already done a little bit of work to it. We painted the timing cover. Got these trick flow valve covers that are going to be going on there soon. You don't actually have to swap the valve covers. You can actually just leave the valve covers on. But I just wanted to show you some of the things that you're going to need to change out if you want to put one of these motors in your new edge. So the list is pretty short. There's not too much to change. Really, these motors are pretty much exactly the same with the handful of a couple small parts. This is a Romeo motor, by the way. Most of the Crown Vic motors that you'll go and get, they're going to be Romeo motors. What you're going to need to change is going to be your oil pan. Now the oil pan on the Crown Vic is slightly bigger. I believe even with tubular K members, you'll probably still have the same problem. So it's best to just go ahead and change it out with the Mustang one. This is not really like a if you want to, this is kind of a necessity. So definitely do this, or else your motor is not going to last very long inside your car without that. The other thing in here that we're going to need to change out is going to be the pickup tube. That's also a very easy thing to do. You're already going to have the pan off anyways. It's 3 bolts for the pickup tube, comes right out. Slap the new one in, very easy. And we're going to go ahead and do that now. So right here I have the Mustang oil pan. And it came off of the old motor. We cleaned it up, put it in the parts washer, got it real nice and clean on the inside. And then this is the Mustang pickup tube. Now we also already cleaned it, but since this is oil stuff, obviously we want this to be as clean as possible, so it's going to get cleaned again just to be sure. But this is pretty much just slightly shorter than the Crown Vic one. The pan is slightly smaller than the Crown Vic one. It's designed to fit in the Mustang, but obviously they both do the same thing as the Crown Vic counterparts. All right, for the oil pan, you're going to have 16 bolts. They're all the same length, so you don't really have to worry about getting any of them confused or anything. I've already pulled out all but 4, and there's one in each corner right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull those out, show you around inside, and show you what we're gonna be doing next. So here we go. We got the pan dropped now. You can see the gaskets hanging there. There's the Crown Vic pickup tube. And there's the crankshaft and rod caps and all that fun stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this on the ground, and then we'll take a better look inside. So here's our gasket. All right, so we got the oil pan gasket off. Looks pretty good. All right, let's take a look here at the bottom end. So we got the pickup tube for the Crown Vic, dipstick. You can see the crankshaft up in there, some rod caps, all of that fun stuff. This actually looks really nice and clean up here. It's exactly what I hoped for this motor. I mean, this motor is very, very low mileage, so it shouldn't have any problems. I don't see any staining, anything like that, no sludge, any of that nastiness that you don't want in a motor. We're gonna go ahead and pull off. We got a 10mm here. We got 2 8mm up in here for the pickup tube. And the pickup tube will just drop on out. So you can see here the bend. This is the Mustang one. The bend is a lot less dramatic. The shape overall is just slightly different. It is shorter. And then here's our Crown Vic one. And you can see it's pretty much just one single bend here, like a 90°, and that's it. It does sit a lot lower. That's why this cannot be used with the Mustang oil pan. But yeah, overall differences between the two, they're minor, but they are there. But I'm gonna go show you the differences between the pans as well. Here's our Mustang pan. First thing you're gonna notice off the bat, this right side is a lot less deep than the Crown Vic one. You'll notice that it is a lot deeper, and you're gonna have some issues trying to finesse that in there if you leave that one on when you're putting it in your Mustang. If you're already pulling a motor out, then the best part is you're already gonna have these parts available to you. All you need to do is just pull them off your old motor like we just did on this one right here, and move it over to your new one. Obviously, make sure you cleaned up really nice. If you don't have these parts, or you don't even have a old motor coming out and you're actually putting a motor in, you should be able to find an oil pan on eBay, probably at the junkyard, actually definitely at the junkyard. You probably just have to clean it really, really well. Ready to put the pickup tube in. We're gonna go ahead and clean it up real fast, and then we'll get it bolted in there. The oil pickup is now nicely in its place. You can see it's all nice and tight and flush up against there. Same here on this little post. So to be reusing this gasket, we're gonna go around here, clean it up real good, spray it with some brake cleaner, inspect it, make sure it is good to be reused. And we're gonna probably put just a little bit of RTV in each corner, just like they did from the factory, and put it back up in place and bolt our Mustang pan on. Another important thing I forgot to mention, definitely make sure that you clean the mounting surface where this oil pan and the gasket are gonna go. Just wanna make sure you got the best possible seal, just so you can minimize the chance of any leaks. Our pan and pickup tube are now swapped over. Just put drain plug back in, had a transfer for this old one. Next thing you're gonna wanna do, and this has already been done on mine, you're going to want to swap your motor mounts. It's very easy. You have 1, 2, 3 on each side. Make sure that you actually put the Mustang ones on. If you don't have a motor, these can be found on eBay, Amazon, Rock Auto. They're very cheap. These are the polyurethane ones. I would actually recommend getting the rubber ones. And the reason I say that is the rubber ones are a lot smoother. They won't last as long. The only reason I put the polys on is because I don't personally mind the extra little vibrations that this comes with. I mean, it's a muscle car, you know? We're not driving that to ride in comfort. We're driving that to have a good time. So now that our oil pan's done, some of these motors do have a different oil filter housing. This is actually the Mustang one off of the old motor. This is the Crown Vic one. The shape is slightly different. I know that these can be used on the Mustang, so this is not necessarily something you have to swap. The angle is just a little funny coming up off of the motor on the coolant hose, but the hose is flexible, so it's not as big of a deal. I know we're running it on my buddy's car with a Torque Tech kit, and we haven't had any issues with it. So you're probably fine, but if you want to go ahead and swap it, maybe you want to have the bigger filter like the Mustang has, like I did, then go ahead and swap this on so you can run that nice big filter. But that's not really a necessity. Another thing that I've noticed on some of these other engine blocks is it has this little like notch. I'm not entirely sure what this is for. I know that my old motor doesn't have that, but it is also a Windsor motor, so that might be a slight casting difference between the two blocks. So you may run into an issue with your oil pressure sensor kind of rubbing up against it. We're going to probably most likely notch this. This doesn't really go to anything that we could tell, so this is probably going to get notched. That way this oil sensor doesn't interfere with it. Now the exhaust manifolds are pretty self-explanatory. You're just going to have 8 bolts really on each side. They're going to be pretty easy to deal with. Obviously you'll have your gasket, then the manifold, or your long tube headers, or short headers if you want to do that as well. I haven't exactly decided what we're doing yet. It really comes down to what we're doing with this part out car that is over to the side of me. So depending on that will depend on if we're going to be doing long tubes or if we're going to be doing just the stock manifolds again, which are just sitting down there right now. We got a piece that we have to get off of the old X pipe that is still stuck on. Now the last thing that isn't actually going to be covered in this video is the intake manifold. Now most of the time you can actually leave the intake manifold, and the only thing you need to change is this plenum. This plenum is for the Crown Vic. It's actually going the other side versus on the Mustang where it goes to the passenger side. So that'll have to be swapped out. This is also a newer motor, so this uses the electronic throttle body, so we'll have to change that out as well. Also, make sure that you use the correct size injectors for your tune. Now, if you're getting tuned and you want to put different injectors in, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. But if you're just doing a complete swap, you're not wanting to change really anything else, make sure you transfer over your injectors and your fuel rails as well. These are also slightly different for the Crown Vic. That's going to pretty much do it for this conversion and prepping your motor to go into a new Edge. It's really not hard. If I wasn't filming this, all of this could have been done probably in about an hour and a half, 2 hours time, especially on a nice day like today. You shouldn't have any issues with doing any of this stuff. It's all very easy. Nothing special that I needed to do this. So if you enjoyed this video or it's been helpful for your swap, leave a like down below, subscribe. We're going to be putting out more content here on this whole swap and this whole process. The next thing that we're going to be doing will be getting the clutch and the transmission set up and then actually putting it in the car. So hopefully we'll be doing that here in the next couple days. We'll get that filmed and then that video will be out hopefully in the next couple weeks. But if you've enjoyed it, like I said, we'd really appreciate a like. Definitely subscribe, and see you in the next one.